The fog was thick that night, the kind that swallows sound and turns the city below into a shimmering sea of lights. A security guard patrolling the Hollywood sign saw movement near the base of the H. A woman in a long dress, blonde hair, bare feet. She was standing perfectly still, staring out over Los Angeles as if she were waiting for someone. He called out to her. She turned and vanished. When he reached the spot where she'd been standing, he found only footprints leading toward the edge, and none coming back. The next morning, hikers reported the same thing. A woman in 1930s clothing wandering the trail, asking for directions, before disappearing into the fog. Her name, they say, is Peg Entwistle, and her story is one of the most tragic and most enduring legends in Hollywood history. Welcome back, everyone, to 1001 Heroes, Legends, Histories, and Mysteries podcast, and our number 2 Cali Legend story, Peg Entwistle and the Ghost of the Hollywood Sign. Before she became a ghost story, Peg Entwistle was a real woman with real dreams. Born in Wales in 1908, she came to America as a child. Her father, an actor, died in a hit-and-run accident in New York when Peg was just a teenager. She was taken in by relatives and thrown into the world of theater, a world she embraced with everything she had. By the early 1930s, Peg was a rising Broadway actress. She performed alongside a young Betty Davis, who later said, "I wanted to be like Peg. She was beautiful and talented and full of life." Peg moved to Los Angeles in 1932, chasing the dream so many others chased, the dream of seeing her name in lights. And she got a role in a film called 13 Women, starring Myrna Loy. But the studio cut most of her scenes. Her contract wasn't renewed. Her marriage had failed. Her savings were gone. And Hollywood, as it often does, moved on without her. And her story is one of the most tragic and most enduring legends in Hollywood history. And Hollywood has always had its living legends, too. Those rare stars who seem to be plucked straight out of everyday life and dropped onto the silver screen. Like Lana Turner, the shy teenager famously discovered while sipping a soda at the Top Hat Cafe on Sunset Boulevard. Or Lauren Bacall, whose smoldering look on the cover of Harper's Bazaar at the tender age of 18 caught the eye of director Howard Hawks and led her to an unforgettable debut opposite Humphrey Bogart. And then there's Marilyn Monroe, who was working in a wartime aircraft factory when a photographer spotted her and set her on the path to becoming one of the most iconic faces in film history. But Hollywood's golden ticket discoveries are only half the story. For every star who was swept into fame by chance, there were countless others whose talent wasn't enough to outrun the industry's shadows. And no story captures that heartbreak more hauntingly than the legend of Peg Entwistle, the young actress whose final steps led her to the base of the Hollywood sign itself. We'll return with the second of our Cali Legend stories right after these sponsor messages. And now, back to Peg Entwistle and the Ghost of the Hollywood Sign. Peg's decline wasn't sudden. It was a slow, painful erosion of hope. When RKO declined to renew her contract, Peg wasn't just unemployed, she was erased. In the 1930s, a studio contract was your identity. Without one, you were nobody. Her agent reportedly told her, "They don't know what to do with you. You're too refined for the pictures." Peg was a stage actress in a town that wanted ingenues. Peg believed 13 Women would be her breakthrough. Instead, test audiences disliked the darker tone, and the studio slashed the film. Peg later told a friend, "I barely recognize myself in it. I'm a ghost in my own picture." The irony would become hauntingly literal. Peg's marriage to actor Robert Keith had ended in betrayal. She discovered he had a secret child he'd never told her about. The divorce left her emotionally raw and financially unstable. That was Broadway. In New York, Peg was respected. In Los Angeles, she was just another hopeful. Casting directors told her she was too serious, too dramatic, too theatrical. Hollywood wanted glamour. Peg brought tragedy. By 1932, the Depression had gutted the entertainment industry. Peg walked to auditions because she couldn't afford bus fare. She lived with her uncle because she couldn't afford rent. Her uncle later said, "She tried to hide it, but she was frightened. She felt she was slipping away." 2 days after her death, a letter arrived offering Peg a starring role in a play at the Beverly Hills Playhouse. It was the kind of role she'd been waiting for. But by then, she was already gone. On the night of September 16th, 1932, Peg left her uncle's house on Beechwood Drive. She told him she was going to meet friends. Instead, she walked up the steep trail toward the Hollywoodland sign, as it was called then. The sign wasn't the polished landmark we know today. It was a decaying real estate advertisement with rickety ladders and unsteady platforms. Peg climbed the ladder behind the H, walked out onto the maintenance platform, and jumped. Her body wasn't found until 2 days later, when a hiker discovered a woman's shoe, a purse, and a suicide note that read, "I am afraid. I am a coward. I am sorry for everything." She was 24 years old. The first ghost sighting came just weeks after her death. A 1933 Los Angeles Examiner article, paraphrased, described a pale young woman in old-fashioned clothing appearing lost, then vanishing into the mist. A park worker told the paper, "I called out to her, but she didn't answer. She just walked into the fog and disappeared."
I'm sitting in the kitchen, watching the clock bleed. I've got a garden of
One of the earliest detailed accounts came from a ranger named Roy Atwood in 1946. He described seeing a woman standing near the H, wearing what he called a gown from another era. When he approached, she turned toward him and vanished. Atwood later said, "I thought she'd fallen. I ran to the edge, but there was nothing. No footprints, no sound, just the wind." In 1964, a couple walking their German Shepherd near the sign reported that the dog froze, growled, and refused to go any farther. The woman said, "There was a lady standing there. I could see her dress blowing in the wind, but when I blinked, she was gone." The man added, "Our dog was terrified. I've never seen him act like that." In 1978, a group of teenagers hiking at dusk reported smelling a strong scent of gardenias, Peg's signature perfume, even though no flowers grow in that area. One of them said, "It was like someone walked right past us wearing perfume. Then we heard footsteps behind us, but no one was there." In the 1990s, a jogger in 1993 claimed he saw a woman in 1930s clothing standing on the trail. She looked directly at him, then faded like, as he described it, a projection losing power. He told a local reporter, "I thought it was a film shoot. Then she disappeared, just dissolved." In 2005, a tourist snapped a photo near the sign that appeared to show a faint figure of a woman in a long dress. Experts dismissed it as pareidolia, the brain seeing patterns and shadows. But the photographer insisted. "There was no one there, I swear it." In 2014, a group of paranormal investigators captured what they described as a woman crying softly near the H. One investigator said, "It wasn't wind, it wasn't an animal. It sounded human, and it sounded heartbroken." To this day, rangers still report a woman in a white dress, footsteps behind them, sudden cold spots, the smell of gardenias, a faint female voice calling for help. One ranger in 2021 said, "She's not threatening, she's sad. It feels like she's looking for something she never found." And now for our paranormal explorers, travel directions. You can take the Brush Canyon Trail. That's the most active area. Park at the Brush Canyon Trailhead on Canyon Drive. Follow the trail toward the sign. Peg sightings often occur near the final ridge. Another option is the Holly Ridge Trail. That's the hot place for gardenia scent reports. Access via Beechwood Drive. Check for closures. Walk the fire road toward the sign. Gardenia scent reports cluster near the last switchback. And you can visit Peg's last residence, Beechwood Village. Multiple sightings reported in that neighborhood. Then there's the Hollywood Sign Overlook, the best legal view of the H. Rangers report the strongest paranormal activity right there at the Hollywood Sign Overlook. Peg Entwistle came to Hollywood chasing a dream. She left behind a legend. Whether her ghost truly wanders the hills, or whether her story simply resonates with those who felt the sting of broken dreams, one thing is certain. The Hollywood sign remembers her, and so does the city she loved. Hollywood has always been a place where tragedy becomes myth, but some myths grow darker than others. And no story casts a longer shadow than the murder of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, and the strange, unsettling rumors that tie her death to one of the most bizarre houses in Los Angeles. Coming soon, Cali Legend number 3, the Black Dahlia. This is 1001 Heroes, Legends, Histories, and Mysteries podcast. I'm your host, John Hagedorn. We always appreciate kind reviews, and we appreciate your sharing our show with others and on social media. Until next time, take care, and we'll be back soon.